Good news, everybody. My 1855 series got renewed, and so we're going into season 2 of restoring this tractor. Got the block here on the stand and just doing some cleanup. It's been sitting around since spring and a little surface rust and spots, but I always like to run a tap down every hole, every threaded hole, clean them up, because if you're not gonna get a good torque reading. If there's dirt and stuff in there, it's gonna make give you more resistance. So that's what I'm on. Let's see some other stuff that. Most of the holes had some pitting down here where the O-rings go, so I got replacement sleeves. They're spun cast iron, I believe, and I can put the name of the place in. It was out in the Dakota somewhere, but got the tool and the sleeves from him, and my machinist followed his instructions, bored out the bottom here to make the sleeve fit, and press the sleeve in with the tool that I bought. So all 6 of them have new lower O-ring lands because of that. I think he overcut the top a little bit, which is what the guy recommended to get them started easier. So I think what I'm going to do is just get some cheap O-rings and put on a sleeve and slide it down in and see how well they go in. And if there's any sign of them getting cut, I might have to chamfer this upper edge a little bit. Just a little roughness to it. I could possibly do some filler and sand it down just to smooth that edge down, but I guess a cheap pair of O-rings just real quick to see how well. Maybe there is a slight chamfer there, and maybe I'm just overly concerned. But first thing is to just get everything cleaned up, blow out passages, get rid of any rust, just get it good and clean, tap out all those holes so we get good torque readings and we know everything's good. You hate to be halfway through and find out, oh yeah, this hole here had some bad threads in it or something, and now I gotta take stuff back apart, or I'm gonna get crud into other areas. So let's get at it. I had the block checked for line bore. That all checked out good. So we're gonna pull these, and I guess just for easy, they are all stamped, but just to make it easier to see, I'm gonna take a Sharpie and write a 1. Maybe that'll show up, maybe it won't. 6 and 7. 5 is pretty easy to figure out because that's where the thrust bearing goes. Looks like that's going to show up halfway decent. That really makes it show up. Maybe I should do that. There's a 2, and I can see 7 on that already. I'll get pulling them and setting them on the table here. Chase some threads here while I'm at it. I really probably should have sprayed this down with some WD-40 or something. Heat hot tanked it, brought it back here, and there's some humid days, and nothing that can't be cleaned up real quick, but I'm going to try the idler gear that drives the injection pump, just to see how it turns nice and smooth. There's an ever so slight amount of play. Gotta have some or it can't turn. But if it's too loose, not only will things, move sideways, but too much oil can squeeze past and you lose oil pressure. To double check the book, but I'm gonna say that's gonna be okay. I'm taking a 1/4-inch drill bit, just doing it by hand, but make sure there's nothing in any of those holes, and it's just fitting, close enough that if there's any crud or anything, it will break it off the sides. But I don't need to ream it out with a drill or actually go too far and stab a bigger hole through the cam bushing. Should be lined up. Yes, we can see daylight there. Oop, if we shine it in there. See daylight there, or flashlight. Had my machine shop install the cam bushings for me. So yep, you got the holes all lined up good. I'll blow all this out once I've got everything cleaned to my satisfaction. See, there was a little bit of surface rust in here from it sitting after getting tanked. I should have put some WD-40 on it, but learn from my lesson. I thought I was going to get to it a little sooner. I had a viewer recommend these to me. I've got them in my Amazon store, but they are sockets that fit your these things, tabs. And I gotta say, it's pretty handy, because then on the other end, got your 3/8 drive or a 1/4-inch drive on these smaller ones. So you can put a ratchet on it, or even a power something or another, depending on your level of confidence on running something like this and not breaking things off. I'm gonna put it in the drill and clean up oil pan holes and cooler holes. These are all 5/16 quarts. You'll notice on the pan side of things, some of them have bolt holes and some have studs. The simple answer is the studs, the hole goes all the way through, so they thread a stud into it with sealant. That keeps the oil from wicking its way around the threads. The ones with bolts, there's what they call a blind hole. It's drilled in, but it doesn't go all the way through, so the oil can't get to it, so it's not a big deal. But there's just some spots where, because of clearance, they couldn't put the extra metal in there. That's the explanation why there's some studs and some bolts, and you can put bolts in these holes, but more chance of them leaking on you. I'm going to turn on the clutch so I don't overdo it. I know someone's gonna ask, this is a Starrett depth gauge. Let's see, got her zeroed out. Am I going the right way? Yes, I am. It's not easy for us left-handed guys. We'll do it like this. Boy, I should have brought my glasses out with me. Looks like 0.323. Check around on the other side. Seems to be pretty consistent all the way around. That's good. Sometimes they can get off. So we will write 0.323 for that hole. Getting just a little bit of a high reading over here. Maybe there's a little bit of rust. Yes, there is. You want to be careful about cleaning these counter bores out. Don't want to get too aggressive. A little bit of rust back there too. It's like going to the dentist office. Whoa. Just got it back to where it's with the rest of it. You want these to have good even contact all the way down, because if it's uneven, it can create kind of a hinge point for the metal and twist on it and create a crack around the top of the sleeve, and then next thing you know, coolant's coming in through the sleeve, going down in the oil pan. Not too often that you see that happen, but a moment of checking stuff out like this saves you a lot of grief down the road. Crusty back in there. I'm happy with that. Pretty consistent, very consistent. Found a couple dirty spots that needed cleaned up that I didn't really see with the unaided eye, so it's all good. I guess I really need to bring my glasses out. I was reading the wrong line again. All those fine little lines. But once I started miking the checking the flange on this, I'm like, okay, that doesn't add up. So I double check, and I was just coming on 0.25. So I am 0.02 under 0.2, so that'd be 0.248 or 2.485 on these two. Nice. So we'll fix that. All I can say is don't get old. Worst mechanic ever. Okay, we know this one was a 0.248. 5. Oh, I can just still see it. 2, 4, 8. Yeah, this was the 0.248, 5, 0.248, 0.248. So, if I measure this, and I need between 1 4,000 sticking above, 0.248 would make it even money. I'm gonna call that 0.252. So that should put that one right at 4 thousandths over, if my math is right. We'll double check them once we have them in. Or I guess I could stick this one in, clamp it down, and see what I get. Because 0.252 minus 248 should be 0.004. Which that's the upper end, but it's acceptable. All right, I got a couple of 5/8 bolts and washers. Not torqued down too hard, just enough to snug it down, put some pressure against it so it stays firmly in the hole. That's measured up at 252, 248, so it should be about 4 thousandths. I'm gonna admit I did a little cheating and checked ahead of time. So I'm measuring from the top of the sleeve, which is not really the part we're concerned about. But I want to know the difference between that and the deck. Biggest thing is to keep that side. So 11 thousandths there. I can feel it hit the ledge. There's where it kicks up on. Seven thousandths there. So 4 thousandths, just like my math figured out. So that's good. Probably should have checked this stuff ahead of time, because knowing that, I probably would have had to knock 1 thousandth or so off the top just to kind of clean the face of the top deck of the block off, but that's within spec, so we are going to live with it. You don't want to get too high. It puts pressure on this, too much pressure on this versus the gasket crush out here, and that can give that leverage and cause the sleeve to crack. And if it's too low, then the gasket doesn't get crushed good enough, and or the gasket takes all the crush. This doesn't. Anyways, the crush of the gasket ain't good, and you'll get gasket blowouts, and you can get it with too much too, because if it's up too high, the gasket's not going to crush, as well as putting extra load on this here, and that's why they have that spec. Yeah, my brain is not working at 100% today. I said I would knock some off the top if I'd known. Actually, I am at the limit. If I had knocked some off the top, then they'd be sticking out more than the 0.004, and then I'd have to either be doing something with a counter bore. I had that on my 1955, and I ended up taking all the sleeves to a machinist I know, and he knocked, what did I have him doing? 1.5 thousandths off the inside of the flange, so they'd sit down just a little bit farther, and that took care of that problem. White did have a service kit that would bolt down and then go in, and so you could cut these counter bores if you had to deck the block or something. I do not have that tool. I know of where I could borrow one or two, or well, a couple people have them. I'm sure they'd let me borrow them. Something I need to keep my eye out for, I guess. But so yeah, good thing I didn't deck the top, and we are gonna go with that because we're in our tolerances. So I'll measure up the rest of the sleeve, see if there's any variation and a combination that goes better with, I mean, we're only talking 0.5 thousandth off on 2 holes here, so probably not going to see it. And then I'm not putting the O-rings on yet. You don't want to do that until you're got everything set where you want it. The sleeve height is right, all that stuff, because when pushing them in, they're good. You go back in and out, you're going to ruin them. And we'll measure the rest of these. I got the rest of the boxes out. If you're wondering, I got the Arrow pistons. There's even a toll-free number on there. I bought them through Maybaugh Tractor in Creston, Ohio. You can also get them from Reliance, but they are, how do I put that? The quality just doesn't seem to be there. And I have some pistons and sleeves from different manufacturers and stuff, and I need to put that video together showing the differences between them and why your tractor won't start nearly as good with them. But that'll be another video. For now, let's keep working on this. Probably doesn't matter, but I'm gonna mark these boxes as I take sleeves and stuff out. And not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that might not be the order they end up in the engine. Currently that one's number 1, but we'll put a little tiny A up here. So we know that that one goes with that box. So this will be box B. This one came up at 251. So who knows, that might make a difference on where it goes. Had a little variation. B was about 251 and a half. These three were, let's see, D and E, C, D and E, yeah, they were all at 251. And this one was 252. Number F, letter F. So since I've got two holes that are slightly deeper, that's where those slightly thicker ones are going to go. So I'll move, this was a 252. So I'll move that back to here, put the other 252 here, the 1.5, I'll probably put it there. That's where it was, where the head gasket blew before. All right, let's do that. This one's B. And the other three were pretty consistent, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. I've got A here. Come on. Ooh, that one fits snugly. Let's put that one here and see if that makes any difference. Well, that fit in nice. So this was E. This one's D. Let's see how it fits a little better. Let's see how C fits. That one's a little snugger. So let's put C up front. And D back here. Better mark them before I forget. Probably getting overly detailed, trying to keep the pistons with the sleeves, but sure won't hurt anything. This one's C. Okay, I need to get some more bolts and washers, so I can clamp them down and I'll double check that spec. I think that's gonna work. They're all coming in right about 4 thousandths, just a hair under, that's great. It's in spec. I think I can live with that. So those are fit. Those are the holes they're gonna end up being in. My O-rings ain't gonna make it here till tomorrow for the lower end, so I can try fitting those in with some cheap O-rings just to see how they're gonna fit in those replacement sleeves. So let's see, what could I do next? Maybe I'll clean some other engine parts and we'll just call that the end of this part of this video. Part 1 of engine assembly for the 1855. There'll be more. As always, I appreciate everybody watching, and we will see you in the next one.